Hello and welcome to the Watch Kaki channel, where we bring you all the good and honest watch reviews. If you haven't done so, please, I urge you, please subscribe to my channel. Come back here every week because I've got new videos uploaded every week just for you. And this is the long-awaited review video of the Seiko SNE525 that I unboxed in January. So this watch here is a solar quartz watch and it is powered by the V158 movement. So this one here requires no battery replacement, so all it needs is some form of light here, to charge up the battery inside, and then it's good to go. So this watch here is very affordable and it comes with very decent specs such as sapphire crystal, and it's got a solar powered movement that requires very little attention. So we're gonna look more into the details throughout this review here. So like I mentioned in my unboxing video, the aim of purchasing this watch was to see how far my dollar could stretch, and this watch here I must have paid about 160 Singapore dollars. I bought it off Lazada and I must say so far I'm pretty happy with the watch that I'm getting. The SNE525 here has got a 40mm case size, so I would say that's a modern kind of case design to it. So it's not the elegant type of dressy watch. I would say this is more or less an everyday modern tool-like kind of watch, alright? So it does its job and I don't think it looks anything overly dressy or anything that is overly sporty. So the case thickness of 10mm actually matches the 40mm case size very well. We've got a 20mm lug width and I'm pretty sure this one here can be a strap monster. Lug to lug here is 46.8 and it is helped by the fact that the bracelet here has got a female end link, so you are really getting the true 46.8mm lug length. As you can see from the thin bezel design here, this one here has got a pretty large crystal size. I measured using my calipers and this one comes in at 34mm crystal size, and over here we've got a flat sapphire crystal installed on the watch. So as opposed to many Seiko quartz watches, this one here has got a rather large crown here. This one here is unsigned, but it is quite big at 6mm. So normally when we talk about Seiko quartz watches, you get a pretty small crown here, and over here we're getting something different, and it really lends a more toolish look to this watch here. And as stated here at the 6 o'clock area, this is a solar watch, solar movement V158, and it has a 10-month power reserve. So the 158 is different from 157 in the sense that it's got a day-date complication, whereas the 157 on my solar tuner only has a day complication. And the accuracy here is pretty standard for Seiko quartz. It is a deviation of 15 seconds per month. Now street price for this watch is also very affordable. This one here typically goes for under 200 Singapore dollars. I was lucky to purchase this off Lazada. I got this for around 160 Singapore dollars shipped to my door. Fantastic deal, I think. For a watch that has sapphire crystal, a very decent size, 100 meters water resistance, I think it's not a bad deal. The SNE525 is also pretty light. I think it is helped by the fact that this one here has got no solid bracelet, so it's got hollow end links and hollow links. We're going to look at the bracelet later on in this video, but as it is with 5 links removed, I weighed and it weighs just over 100 grams, and I would say that's pretty light for a watch, 40mm case size with a steel bracelet. So now I've just zoomed in a little bit for you to look at the watch closely while I talk about the case design and construction. Now it's got a very boring case design here, right? A very typical watch design, 40mm, round dial, and it's got a full stainless steel construction. Most of the watch surfaces here are brushed. I like it. I like watches with mostly brush finish. The top of the lugs, the case sides, they're all brushed. The entire bracelet, the top of the bracelet, also brushed, leaving a bevel here. There's a beveling here, and leaving the bezel here polished. Alright, so these little polish accents here, I think they add some design flair to it. Overall, it is a very standard if I may say so, it is a pretty boring case design, but that's the beauty of it, alright? So being a boring watch is probably good, to sort of go under the radar and good enough for everyday wear. So the overall finishing here, I would say, is pretty decent. Do not expect Saratsu polishing for this kind of money that you're spending. Now the top here, top of the lugs here, they do have a sort of a radial brushing, and over here the brushing here is vertical, and I think for this price point, I don't want to complain too much about the level of finishing that Seiko is pushing out. So the bracelet here is a typical oyster-esque kind of design, if that's a word to use, alright? So it looks like, the standard oyster kind of bracelet, and I must, repeat, this is a hollow link bracelet, alright? So over here, just take a look here. It is not the ugly folded type of link, but it is still a non-solid link. Just take a look at the line here. So there's a line here that separates the top and bottom half of the link, and this shows that this is indeed a hollow link, as the end links of this watch. The end links here are hollow, and what do you expect at this price point? Of course, some cost cutting had to be done, and I think Seiko has very cleverly, done it, and well, I like it. It sort of, reduced the weight of the watch quite a bit. And this one here also has a stamped clasp, very basic type of Seiko clasp here. Again, because it is a stamped clasp, it makes everything very thin and very slim, and again, these are the things that you look out for when you want a watch for daily wear. You don't want a bulky buckle here or clasp here that gets in the way every time you're trying to do something. So overall, I would say there's a feeling that you're getting more than you've paid for. Alright, so for 160 Singapore dollars, I feel that you could do much worse. Right, there are many watches out there, especially the fashion brands, they're charging like $200 to $300. And now let's move on and talk about the dial here. This one here has a sun ray dial here. You can see that the lines of the brushing sort of goes outwards. I wouldn't call this sunburst, I think I should call it sun ray, and it plays very well with light, but you can see here the reflection is a bit weird. Okay, I don't know why other sunburst or sun ray dials, they don't have this weird rounded reflection. So I don't know, it could be the level of brushing that is causing all this weird type of look and reflection. There's a complaint from me though. My dial here, the dial on my watch here, has got a scar or imperfection here at the 4 to 5 o'clock area. You can see here there is a scar, there's a line here. I don't know how this happened, right? Must be because, I don't know, the worker at the factory, I think, he or she was trying to install something, or install the marker or something like that, the applied marker, and maybe scratched up the dial, and it looks pretty bad here. So I don't know what's with the QC over at Seiko's factory. And overall, the design here is very clean. You've got needle hands here. I believe they're actually done in silver or silver white finish, slightly different from the applied markers that are silver. Of course, they are chrome, but the hands here, they look more white silver to me, as is the applied Seiko logo. The logo here is indeed applied. You can see it's got a 3D effect going on. Alright, but the word here, solar, here at the 6 o'clock, it is printed, and I'm glad that Seiko, they didn't overprint the words here. They didn't say things like sapphire or 100 meters water resistance or yada yada, because keeping it simple would actually increase the looks and value of this watch. So another interesting thing about the dial is that the chapter ring here, alright, it is done in a bowl shape. Okay, so it is not a flat chapter ring that resides on the edge of the watch bezel. This one here is done in a bowl shape. You can see that it is bent and slopes inwards really nicely here. Okay, and it's also got a texturing on the chapter ring, although it's not as pronounced as the dial here, but it still has some kind of texturing and it reflects light pretty well here. I'm also very happy that the day-date complication here is done in black. Many times you see a lot of divers like Seiko Turtle or or even the 5KX, SKX, you know, they've got this really stand out kind of a white date, and over here the black, it just looks much better on a dark dialed watch. So all these things, they lead to a very legible dial, very simple but very legible. You can see from very far, you can read the time very easily. You know, there is no problem at all, no distractions here, no funny text, no funny subdials. Everything looks clean and simple, very easy to read time on this one. So as I zoom out the lens here, here's a wrist shot of the watch on my wrist. My wrist size is 6.75, 6 3/4 inches, 17 centimeters, and you can see that the 40mm case size does fit very well. No issues. I'm able to get a very good fit on the bracelet, and this is how I like to wear my watches, not overly tight, not too loose. It's got a bit of allowance, okay, but not snug, and you know, with the watch all sticking on my wrist. So I really get a good adjustment out of this bracelet here. I'm liking the fit. It is actually very thin at 10mm, but due to the case side design, I would say this is almost like a slab side design, so it doesn't really feel overly thin, alright, but the overall fit is very good for this watch, very wearable. And now let's do a very quick size comparison between the Seiko SNE525 and the SNE526. So I would say these two watches, they are very good everyday watches, right? Garda watches, you can do anything with them. You know, they cross the line between being sporty and being formal at the same time. So they are very similar, but you can see from here that the Seiko is just that bit bigger. This one here comes in at 40mm. It's got a really thin bezel and a large crystal here, and the SNE on the other hand is slightly smaller. Overall case size as well as dial size, they're all smaller, and the SNE being exhibition case back, I think it's slightly thicker at about 11mm. Alright, but it doesn't really show up very much because it's got a thinner mid case, whereas this one is more or less, the Seiko on my left is more or less slab side. So both watches again very similar in terms of size. So there you have it. That was my review of the SNE525P1 Solar Quartz tuner. There are some things that I really like about this watch. I love its lightweight. Alright, I love that it is solar powered. It requires so little or no maintenance at all. And lastly, I love it for the fact that, well, it's got excellent legibility. Alright, so reading time on this one is just a pleasure. One look, you know the time, won't go wrong, you know, unless the reflections are coming in really badly. I would say this watch is really damn bloody legible. Alright, also some of the things that I don't really like about this watch here. Firstly is the glare and reflections you're getting off this crystal here. It is a flat crystal, a flat sapphire crystal, but reflects like crazy. Alright, you can see it's reflecting, I don't know, my lights, I don't know, you can even see what clothes I'm wearing. Okay, so I think that's because they didn't put the AR coating on this crystal here, and I think that's a shame because, you know, for a watch that's so legible, all you need is a layer or two of AR coating, and I think this will be a champion. And lastly, the bracelet here is a little bit squeaky. Alright, I'm not talking about the rattling, right? What I'm saying here is that the bracelet gets a little bit squeaky, but I believe that this will be gone if you wear the watch regularly, or if I spray it with some kind of silicone grease. I think that should get rid of the squeaking. Okay? Until the next video, this is the Watch Kaki and George. We're signing off. We're from Singapore. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.